Ancient technology. Comments. Clearly, the Great Pyramid was created with technology. Because the only reason you build something like the Great Pyramid or any type of large structure would be because you have technology to do so. Because if you don't need technology to create a Great Pyramid or any structure, like you don't need technology at all to build a house or to build a tower or a skyscraper, then why do we have technology? Why do we have machines? Why do we in modern day time have any type of technology if we can do things without technology, right? If we can build big giant things without technology, then why are we using technology if we are capable of doing it without it? Now I'm not saying it's impossible to do things without technology. I'm just saying it's harder to do things without technology. So when it comes to an idea, because I know I've experienced this a lot, there's things that I want to do. I was like, yeah, I could do it in a simpler, you know, a low quality type of way. But if I use technology, I can make it better. Like a lot of things that I want to do are more possible to do with technology than without. Right? Like let's say I want to fly. Using technology or creating technology that allows me to fly will make it easier for me to fly than for me to try to use a blanket and try to fly that way, right? Jump off a building with a blanket and hope I can fly, right? It'd be better if I have some type of jetpack or some type of Iron Man suit or something, right? So technology would make it easier. So things, people, the easier it is to do something, the more likely you're going to do it. So why does the Great Pyramid exist? Even if you want to say it's a tomb, okay. I mean, it's a big tomb. It took a lot of materials just to build something that you're going to put one dead person in there. I think that to me is evidence that it's not a tomb because it's too much work that was put into it for a simple use, right? That's not logical. And I don't like to think the Egyptians or ancient humans in general were that dumb. Like they would waste a lot of materials for something as simple as just burying a person and quote unquote try to keep them secure. Because clearly the Great Pyramid was not the most secure place for the pharaoh's body because we have a whole bunch of people who are not Egyptians walking in and out of that pyramid, out of that quote unquote tomb. So to me, it's the worst built tomb to ever exist. I wouldn't literally be caught dead in there. I would be embarrassed as a pharaoh to have a pyramid as my tomb when a whole bunch of people are going in and out of it like it's a tourist attraction when it's supposed to be my final resting place. And it's clearly the worst designed tomb if people are literally walking in and out of it and taking pictures. So it has to be something else logically. But anyway, that's for another video. This is about that in order to build the Great Pyramid, you're going to need some form of technology, even if it's low tech like chisels and hammers, and ramps and sleds and even some pulley system. You know, that's all technology regardless. The thing I hate is always the argument of trying to say that ancient humans didn't have technology; they just did it. It was just hard work and hard work labor. It was just a whole bunch of human beings working together. It's like, okay, kind of. But here's the thing. Even if you're trying to say the Great Pyramid was built a lot like an ant hill is built, and an ant hill is built with a whole bunch of ants, and they didn't have quote unquote technology, it's like, well, that's actually technically incorrect because if you think about it, they're biological machines. Ants are basically biological cranes and bulldozers or whatever you want. Their outer skin, their outer body is an exoskeleton, basically machinery, right? So they're designed to lift 10 times their own body weight. How many humans do we know can lift 10 times their own body weight, right? Very few. In order to create the Great Pyramid, you need people who can lift 4,000 pounds. Okay, that's 2 tons. Most of the blocks in the Great Pyramid are 2 tons, which means 4,000 pounds. How many people you know can easily lift 4,000 pounds and walk? Lift it, walk upstairs, carry it on their back and walk up the side of a pyramid and then stack it somewhere? How many people do you know can do that? Do you think all the Egyptians could do that? Because all the paintings and the carvings of Egyptian people that we see on these walls of these temples and stuff, they're really scrawny people, really skinny people. So I'm like, yeah, these skinny people didn't lift these blocks. So by hand, even if you got 10, 20, 1,000 skinny people, it still would be tough. Because like I said, a lot of them didn't look very strong or muscular in the depictions. But that could be just the people who don't build stuff. The people who build stuff probably were jacked as fuck. We don't know, right? Because we don't have the evidence. That's the point, right? It's all about evidence-based stuff. So because we don't have evidence of cranes and tools and stuff like that, as you can see in my comment, like archaeologists or any archaeologists or Egyptologists can't say for definitively that technology like cranes and elevator shafts and, you know, flying vehicles or whatever, you know, or mech suits, giant stone and wooden, you know, pulley system Gundam suits, like I like to joke around. But I'm being serious that ancient humans probably created big giant mech suits out of stone and wood and rope and maybe some metal, and actually, you know, used it as like a exoskeleton crane system to help them build. And that's where the legends of giants helping build the pyramids would have came from. Giant robots, right? But anyway, because it's possible. Because even I can create a robot out of sticks and stones, right, and rope. But anyway, that's besides the point. So the thing is where is the evidence of no cranes? You got to have definitive evidence that a crane wasn't used to lift stone, because you have to have evidence that a different method was used. And what's that other method? You can't say like, oh, it was just a whole bunch of humans work together to make it happen. It's like, that's a guess. That's not evidence. What evidence do you have? That's the thing. You know, I want to respect archaeologists for them, you know, doing their job right, and they're supposed to be the ones that get evidence. It's one thing to have a theory, but then you have to have evidence to support the theory, right? The theory should come from evidence. So what evidence do you have? Because to me, the evidence that technology was used for the Great Pyramid is the existence of the Great Pyramid. Because it's so great. That's why we use the word great, right? It's so great and so vast and so big that it's like, yeah, at some point you can't just have a whole bunch of people pulling and pushing and pulling and up ramps, whether the ramps are made of wood or dirt or stone or whatever. Like, it'd be at some point, it's like, yeah, at some point it's going to be difficult to use that method. At some point you can't just pull and push and pull and lift, you know, with levers and stuff like that. Like, you can't use simple methods, you know, low tech or quote unquote primitive tools to build the pyramids. At some point you gotta to make it as big as it is, you're gonna need more. You need more. And I'm writing a book about how to create the Great Pyramid, and I'm like, yeah, there's gonna be, you need specific methods, specific patterns of stacking the stones, and then you're gonna need technology. It might not be advanced or high tech, but it'll still be technology, because low technology is still technology. You know, copper chisels and hammers is low technology. A crane is low technology. Now, if the crane is powered by something like a water wheel or some type of power source, then it becomes high tech, right? So then, you know, that would be the best way to lift things, would be to use a high tech crane, a powered crane, a crane that uses a power source. Now, can you use a crane that just uses, you know, weight, like counterweights and humans pulling, human strength? Yeah, human power. There we go, human power. Then that would be low tech, because it's human power, so it's low tech. But if we use a power source like a water wheel, then it becomes high tech, right? And if we use gravity or some nuclear technology, then sound wave, yeah, that gets into advanced technology. But I'm not saying they use advanced. I'm just saying at least they definitely use low tech. That's for sure. That's the bare minimum is low technology. But at some point, a little bit of high technology has to be incorporated. At some point, they were like, it'd be easier if we use a water wheel or wind power or solar power or something to make this work easier. At some point, technology, high technology, I'm gonna say it, has to be used, like a crane with a power source. So, whether the power source is vibrating crystals or whatever, right? As long as there's movement, as long as there's a power source, then it's high technology. So at some point, is it possible to use low tech? Technology is still technology, even if it's low tech. Yes, it is possible. But it just proves that technology definitely was used. A lot of the arguments in archaeology is, well, they didn't use technology. It's like, well, copper chisel and hammers is technology. Any tool is technology. Even if you want to say copper saws were used to cut, granite and whatnot, which can't actually do it, but let's pretend it does. It's like, well, that's still technology. It was a tool. Tools are technology. They're low tech, but it's still technology. High tech is if you add a power source and now the copper tool vibrates. So the copper tool vibrates, the copper saw vibrates, and it makes it easier to cut granite, quote unquote. It doesn't, because copper is not that good for cutting granite, but you can, use other materials, obviously. But the point is once you add a power source to a tool, it becomes a power tool. What is a power tool? High technology. Duh. That's why we call our technology a lot of times power tools. Like our tools that we use that have power, we call them power tools for a reason, because we add powers to the tool. So it goes from low tech to high tech. A hammer is low tech, but once you add a power source that makes it vibrate or makes it swing automatically on its own without a human swinging it, then it's high tech, right? And Thor's hammer summoning lightning, that's advanced technology. Way beyond our capabilities at the time. We're a high-tech civilization more than we would be an advanced civilization. We're still not yet at advanced, but we are definitely high-tech. And we use cranes, which are powered, steam powered, gas powered, diesel engine power, whatever you want to call it, electric power. So we have different powered cranes or different power tools in modern day times. Ancient humans would have figured out how to use air, water, whatever, right? Whatever power source they had. They could use lemons. Lemons create electricity. If you use copper and zinc, you can use lemons as batteries, so you can create electricity. Lightning storms exist. You can just wait until there's a lightning storm and stick a whole bunch of iron rods in the air and connect them with copper wires, and then boom, once they get struck by lightning, boom, there's electricity. And just figure out how to use that electricity, how to store it. You can store electricity like in water and other similar things, and then use that electricity, to power stuff. Anyway, that's for another video about ancient electricity. But the thing is, back to the evidence. Like, archaeologists love to argue that pseudo archaeology or pseudoscience doesn't have evidence. And it's like, but we do. Our evidence is your evidence. Every time y'all find something, we use that as our evidence. We use it. We look at it like, the pyramid, the way it's designed, based off of what archaeologists have found, and y'all made sketches and y'all gave us this data, and according to the data y'all found, it doesn't look like a tomb. But y'all be like, oh no, it is a tomb because our data says it's a tomb. It's like, but we're looking at the data and the data doesn't say it's a tomb. Like, we're looking at the same thing you're looking at, and we don't see what y'all saying that y'all see. If y'all see a tomb, that's y'all bias. Y'all see a tomb. We don't see a tomb. We're open-minded, so we see that it's not a tomb. Could it be a tomb? Yes. Is it a tomb, though? Based off of what we see? Not really. Because one, it would be a terrible tomb because the way it's designed, it's not the best design for a tomb. But okay, y'all want to believe it's a tomb. That's y'all belief, but that's not the evidence showing y'all that it's a tomb. That's just y'all want to believe it's a tomb, because y'all don't want to put any effort to disprove that it's not. It's easier to say it's a tomb, the Great Pyramid is a tomb, than it is to figure out that it's not a tomb, because it requires a lot more work to figure out that it's not a tomb. Because if it's not a tomb, then what is it, right? If it's not a tomb, archaeologists, what is it then? Y'all don't have answers for that. Your only answer is it's a tomb because there's rooms in there, and you could put a dead body. It's like, okay, but a cup, I could put anything in a cup, but it doesn't mean it's a coffee cup, because you could put anything in the cup, so it doesn't have to be a coffee cup. It could be a urinal. I could use it to piss in. It could be a piss cup instead of a coffee cup. So why are you assuming my cup that I have is a coffee cup when I don't even drink coffee? It could be a piss cup for all you know, right? I could use it for anything. It could be where I put my M&Ms, and it's a candy jar. You don't know. You think it's a coffee cup, but it's not. Right? Just because you think it's something doesn't mean it is that something. You need to be able to prove that it is something that you're trying to say it is. You need actual proof. And Egyptians and all these archaeologists always try to be like, oh, we have proof that it's a pyramid because of some documentation. It's like, okay, show me the documentation. Y'all say y'all got some paperwork that says it's a tomb, so show it to me. I want to see it. Where's your evidence? Y'all talk about evidence is important, and evidence is what is necessary for something to be, proven to be true. It's like, all right, show it to me. Show me the proof that the Great Pyramid is a tomb. Stop saying that y'all have evidence but never show the evidence. I see a whole bunch of videos from so-called archaeologists saying that we have evidence but never show the evidence. It's like, it's interesting y'all have the evidence but don't show us the evidence. We can say the same bullshit. We can say we have evidence and not show it. But the difference is we actually do show. Because our evidence, like I said, is your evidence. So if y'all hiding evidence, well, it's going to be hard for us to show evidence if y'all hiding it, right? If y'all hiding the fact that y'all have evidence that the Great Pyramid is a tomb, but you're not showing it. I don't see it in any of y'all videos. And I watch y'all videos. So don't act like we don't know what archaeologists are saying or doing, or the evidence they do or don't have. Is like, no, we do. The thing is, a lot of times y'all just say something is a fact but never show the proof, the evidence. I should see in every archaeology video that mentions that the pyramid is a tomb, I should always see the same evidence. Here's the evidence, here's the evidence, here's the evidence. Every time, every video, I should see it. So that way the proof is constantly spread, so people can see the proof. That way people can be like, oh, well, we definitely do have evidence that it's a pyramid. I mean, there's a tomb. Okay, then there you go. It's definitive. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about the Great Pyramid. There's no need to theorize about it, because it is definitively a tomb, because we have the evidence that the archaeologist has shown us, because they have the evidence. But I haven't seen no evidence that the Great Pyramid is a tomb. And I am looking for the evidence. I am looking for the proof that it is a tomb, but I have not found it. That's why it's so ironic that when I study the Great Pyramid, I find evidence that it's not a tomb. At least I find evidence that it's a terrible tomb if it was a tomb. So I find things against the tomb idea, then I find evidence to support the tomb idea. It's like, come on, where's your evidence? I keep saying there's evidence that it's a tomb. Show us the evidence. Y'all sound like pseudoscience archaeology to me. Y'all sound just like the people y'all say that don't have evidence. Y'all say pseudo-archaeologists, pseudoscientists don't have evidence, but in reality, all I see is archaeologists don't have evidence. It's more of like, well, we are the official people. We're archaeologists. We have evidence. We know the truth. That sounds like pseudoscience to me. That sounds like bullshit to me, because unless you show me the evidence, You don't have evidence. The thing is that I want to see the evidence. I want proof. I want it to be definitive, like, that the Great Pyramid is a tomb. And it's like, all right, you got that. All right, so now we know it's a tomb. All right, next step is, how did they build it? Because it'd be interesting to know, how did they build this giant tomb? And of course, it's technology. It's obvious it's technology. So like I said, it's obvious it's not a tomb, and it's obvious that technology was used to build the Great Pyramid. Then it's just more about figuring out what the technology was and what the Great Pyramid really was made for. Because clearly technology was used to make it, and I believe because technology was used to make it, obviously, to me anyway, the Great Pyramid itself is technology. It was made for a purpose. It's made to do something, and it's not just to throw some dead guy in there. Technology was used to create this. So clearly this was meant to do something more important than housing a dead body. Just saying.